Hello and welcome to another What's Next. I'm going to be your host, Trombone, and we're going to be trudging through the patch notes that are 7.20. And I do want to put out that we are sponsored this episode by Mediocrity. Mediocrity. It's pretty much what runs this shit. Alright, so let's dive right in. We have emotes. I don't want to dedicate too much time to it. I just want to let you know that people are going to try to tilt you, or when they're tilted, they're going to try to be assholes. So you can mute this, just like pings and people in chat. It's going to be fun for people that want it to be fun, and for people that are assholes, there's a mute button for it. Riot saw this coming. Anyway, on to the things that are gameplay, not mental health gameplay. We have Evelynn coming to the Rift. I'm not going to cover that too much because, again, as you can see by this list of links, Riot went through great lengths to show you what she does, what she's all about, what she's going to be about. Also, Skin Pot Spotlights, if you're into the more funny, gimmicky things, has put out some pretty cool videos on all of her voice lines. So that's Evelynn. Again, a list of resources for you if you want to check her out. Be my guest. I'm just not going to cover it too in depth. One thing that I do want to hit on Evelynn is before 6, she's not going to be camouflaged. So you should be able to see her coming into lane with just regular wards before she hits level 6. That's new. It's interesting. It should make her early game a little less oppressive. Not that they had it. They kind of nerfed her early game to balance that out, but it's something useful to know. Moving on to Bernard. So his passive blaze, when things are like crackling and stuff because they got hit by one of his abilities, he now gets a Doran's ring passive, essentially, for any minion that is ablaze. So if they're blazing, knock them out, you get some mana, because, you know, those people are really good in the mind. You know, smoking weed gets that mana flowing, and then you get some of that. But that's Brand. It should help him sustain a little bit more in the early game. They added it to the minions, so that way support Brand isn't so oppressive. I like it. It's a neat balance choice, and I really appreciate it for someone that can be flexed into the support role. Moving on to Graves. So he's got some health regen. It used to be like 6 2/3. It says 6.67. I'm rounding. I'm sorry. Per 5 seconds. Now it's going to be 8 per 5 seconds. So not too much more, but enough to be noticed. Also, his Q, the ratio, that's not one bonus attack damage, that's a ratio. That's 100% of his full bonus attack damage, that's bonus, not base, is going to be added to his Q for shot damage. So that's that with Graves. Again, I'm not a huge jungle expert. I can't say how that's going to affect him. I'd like to say we're going to probably see some more because people like to try things that get buffed and nerfed, and I think they're just trying to give him a little nudge so we can see play again. They saw him in Worlds and they got really excited. That's probably not why, but, you know, guy can dream, can he? I can tell you, though, even though I'm not an expert in jungle, he cannot be a viable ADC. I'm sorry. So many better ones. You just don't try it. All right, moving on to Karma. She's got some mantra cooldown going on. So her passive, Gathering Fire, basically that's whenever you hit anyone with one of your abilities or one of your auto attacks, your cooldown on your ult, which powers those abilities, is lowered. So they're basically just bumping that up a bit. It's going to be 1 second at max rank. I'm sorry. Yeah. 1 second at max rank and 2 seconds for basic attacks. It's not up 2 seconds, it's up half a second. So a little bit more cooldown, a little bit more fun or something. So that's Karma. I think this is going to bring her back a little bit into the support meta. I don't know why she got pushed out, like Lulu, Janna, Karma. Like, that makes sense, but Karma wasn't there. It was like freaking Soraka, Nami, and everyone ignored Karma. For solo queue, she's really great, especially with this cooldown reduction. I mean, especially if you want to like carry from the support role, just build full AP and just wreck people. That's kind of what she's really good for with a lower cooldown. She's not quite as effective as Nanny because she doesn't have as much CC, but she does have a little bit and she does a crap ton of damage, especially if you build like any amount of magic pen. So Karma, check her out, especially if you're gonna play support. That's my opinion. Moving on to Ornn, a few little tiny balance changes and one like making him relevant balance changes. So Ornn, his W is now going to do up to 20% of the target's maximum health. It used to do up to 25% of the target's current health. So that's really, really nice. That's actually a large buff, and I'm really glad that they did it. Ornn was like really on the cusp of relevancy, and I think this alone is going to push him into that relevant status, and I'm really excited for Ornn to make that comeback. His E, so he's going to have a little bit of an additional range on that circle that knocks people up. It's going to be useful. Again, it's more of like a balance thing than his W. And his Forge God, the reactivation cast time, there is no cast time. So you can just reactivate and ram into the ram, because that's what Ornn's all about, ramming into rams. So that's Ornn. I know I kind of said it last time, but now for real, like he's actually really, really irrelevant. So there he is. All right, moving on to Tahm Kench. His passive is getting a bit of a buff. So rather than being up to 1.5% of his maximum health, it's going to be 1.75. So about 25%. Well, 25% of a percent. That's a lot of percents. Tahm's maximum health, and that's going to be at 1, 7, and 13. Essentially, they're just bumping it up one tier at 1, 7, and 13. So, rather than scaling it with 1, 11, and 16, kind of like alt stacks, alt levels, they're changing it to 1, 11, or 1, 7, and 13, bringing that power spike up a little more and bringing up a little more damage. So now that he's super annoying, he's going to be even more annoying. And his maximum damage is going to be up to 5.25% rather than 4.5 at max rank. Again, that's going to be bumped up at every level. It's about 75% at each level, 75% of a percent. Again, lots of percents. So it seems slight, but I feel like Tahm Kench is going to do a lot more damage. It's going to be a lot more annoying in lane. Someone to look out for, kind of like the Leona of this patch. Devour, so his regurgitation lockout is going to be 1 second rather than 2 seconds, so you can't just spit them up after 1 second now rather than every 2. And this is a little bit bug fix. If you tongue lash, Devour, if tongue lash dealt enough damage to kill the target minion, regurgitating the minion wouldn't do anything. So there you go. Now it's going to do stuff, because that's important. You know what I'm saying? And Abyss Voyage, because Devour is no longer locked here for 2 seconds, it's no longer locked for a second in his ult. Again, what they're doing here, just giving a little more damage, making him a lot more annoying in lane, making him, again, more annoying with his W. But, yeah, so that's Tahm Kench. And beyond that, that's really all of the changes that have happened this patch. Of course, Janna got a bunch of nerfs. She ended up getting like 2 sets of nerfs in 7.19. So she came out really strong out of the gates when they changed that. Essentially what they did is they knocked down her movement speed, they knocked down her health, knocked down the mana, and then essentially all of the bonus magic damage. So that basically they had the scaling movement speed rather than the flat. Again, just a lot of nerfs. She came a little strong out the bat, but that's Janna. Azir and Talia, you might be like, why are you skipping those? That's because they're bug fixes. This is literally, hey, look, we added a visual effect for when Azir gets a movement or a attack speed buff on 3 soldiers, and nobody wants to know that. And Talia, her W, oh, look, it shows where the people are going to go rather than just the direction. Nobody cares about that. And I ended up telling you anyway, so be happy. Moving on to Sterix Gauge from the Lifeline, and they added it to the base Sterix Gauge. So it's up from 30 to 50%, but you don't get any additional on the Lifeline trigger. Also, it's going to give you a little more health. It's going to be worth more gold because it's a lot better. And it can only be purchased by melee champions. So Sterix Gauge as like a odd kind of thrown in there on ADC builds is no longer. Feel free, ADCs, to be free of Sterix Gauge. Never again. Or maybe sometime. I don't know. But for now, never again. Because it can only be purchased by melee champions. It can be purchased like Jace and people that switch between, but they can only use the passive and the lifeline, all the passives and things, if they are in their melee form. If they change from melee to range while it's triggering, like the shield, they will still gain that shield when in the range form. So that's something to know. Also, shield is going to wait before it decays and gives 30% tenacity for 8 seconds when it triggers the lifeline. Of course, the lifeline, because it's all about the lifeline. Germ's Fist, they made it better because Sterix is better. Essentially what they did is they upped the health at the beginning and they downed the stacks that it takes. So you're going to get the same amount of bonus health. It's just going to give a lot more up front. And then you're going to stack it faster because there's only 20, not 30. Now you can feel free to build that Germ's Fist into the things that you love faster. Ancient Coin Line. So basically what they did is they're going to down the mana that you get back. They feel like you're getting too much mana back. You don't have to risk enough to get that mana, and it's just a little overpowered. Again, I feel like coin is just overused because it's the fastest gold generation. They still haven't nerfed that. But they refuse to see that. And the passive, the movement speed passive, so good, so good. Anyway, but now it's going to give you 6% instead of the 10% missing mana, and it's going to have a minimum of 10 rather than a minimum of 15 mana. Also, Spell Thief's Edge, and only Spell Thief's Edge, is going to get an additional 5 ability power. That's up to 10. That's to get a little more poke in on Ancient Coin supports, which again, most gold is still right here. You can maybe manage the Spell Thieves, but Ancient Coin's still pretty safe for really good gold generation. So take it for what it's worth. Those are the item changes. And the rest is just extras. Krugs are going to look neat when they split. Spell shields don't stop things that they shouldn't. You can vote for your favorite charity. It's charity, and I have a platform, albeit a small one, but I have a platform. So you can vote for the charity, like if you bought the Championship Ash skin, or you've contributed to the world's, or I'm sorry, just the Championship Ash skin. If you contributed to that pool, half of that, or a quarter of it, is going to charity, right? So you get to say where that goes. You can vote for it. If you're level 3 and below, you only get 1 vote, essentially. If you're on a level 4, you get a vote and a half. And if you're honor 5, you get 2 votes, essentially, for every 1 vote. You can say where that money for charity is going to go. Really impactful, where we, as a community, get to say where this charity money goes. And it's really nice, as a community, like that we can come together, stop playing video games for 1 second, vote and say where our money is going to go to a charity. It's kind of nice. So there's that. Now you can see if people are voting for honor or if they're just assholes. Item set sharing, you can do that. And bug fixes, look at these new skins, it's really neat. Anyway, that is the patch notes. Thank you everyone who does watch this series and appreciates it. I appreciate you watching it. That's why I keep putting them out. You guys really seem to like this, and I will continue to do it as long as that's the case. Thanks for tuning in this time. I really appreciate it, and I appreciate the new sub, whoever you are. I love you. I mean, I like having subs. I like inflating my ego. What can I say? But I also like having a community of people that I can talk to. If you want to talk, comment, message, whatever. I'm here. I'm literally doing very little all the time. So just hit me up. No, don't do that. Oh, Jesus. All right, anyway, thank you everyone so much for watching this video. If you liked it, feel free to like. If you disliked it, dislike it, please. And then don't watch other stuff, because most of it's like this. I'm just saying, if you didn't like it, you're probably not gonna like my other stuff. If you feel like commenting, go ahead. I highly encourage it. And like, comment your favorite Tahm Kench quote. I don't know what mine is. That's why I'm looking for one. Give me a favorite Tahm Kench quote. Anyway, that's the video. Thank you so much for whoever the new sub was. I really appreciate it. More than you know. So thanks for coming, and until my next video, have a good one.